Okay, we're into take 3 or 4 today. That's fine. As I said, I've been doing some adjustments on some of the things that I'm doing for my podcast that I've been doing for a while now. I've added some equipment, and hopefully it'll make my podcast a little bit better. We'll see how that works out in the course of time. I'm trying to get a couple of things worked out. That being said, today we're going to talk about the subject of astrology on to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am your host. I'm Kurt, and I'm glad to have you along today. Today is Friday, the 2nd of July of 2021. Thank you for everyone who's here on the Rumble on the podcast, not on YouTube. Excuse me. Do that periodically. Subject again today is astrology, and I'm going to very quickly run through my notes. You may think I don't believe in things like magic or ghosts. I'm not nearly so strong a believer in little green men as supernatural things right here on the planet, right here on Earth. Now, that doesn't mean I don't believe in potential extraterrestrials or whatever, and I certainly believe in UFOs. I don't believe that they're necessarily foreign things, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to make clear here is not that I think things like astrology are hogwash. Rather, I have concerns about the danger of them. I think the thing that bothers me maybe a little more, though, is folks who more or less flippantly support such things. How many times have you heard, "What's your sign?" My sign where astrology is concerned, to quote the old joke, is stop. That's my sign. By that, I mean in terms of ceasing using things like astrology as if it was just something with which to play. This is what I would like folks out there to consider. I've been playing with things one could argue are supernatural for some time now. Well, I haven't been playing with them recently because I pretty much left off of all of that some time back. But a long time ago, I messed around with that, and I came to the conclusion that there were maybe some things going on that were supernatural. The thing about that is, the conclusions that I came to were nothing like substantiatable. They were not things that I could say, this, therefore that, therefore this, therefore that. But you know, the thing about supernatural things is I think a lot of times they're outside of our realm of understanding to some measure or degree. And the result of that is that we do not understand the things we're dealing with and therefore can't apply measurements of various kinds to them. We can't apply scientific method and so forth properly to them. There are people who are attempting to apply scientific methodologies to those things that are supernatural. I don't know how successful they are. I think they think they're more successful than they actually are, to be frank. But I don't know that. I couldn't tell you that with any certainty. But the point is, you've got a bunch of people out there who are, I'm a Pisces, I'm an Aquarius, I'm a Capricorn. And you'll forgive me, but I'm a stop. Stop it. Why does it even matter to you? I don't know. I tend to think that there's some degree of difference in people who are born at different times of the year, right? I tend to think that that's the case. And so I'm not saying that that's not true. But the thing is, I don't think that has anything to do with, Saturn is in its second house. I don't think that has anything to do with that. That's generally my take and my perspective on that. You may think so, and I totally am okay with you doing so. By the way, you want to practice magic, you want to be a Satanic worshiper, you want to practice, horoscope and so forth, be my guest. But know this, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to be there with you. Not on any of it. I don't want you to talk to me about that. I don't want you to bother me about any of that. And unless you can tell me that I'm wrong in believing that the Bible says that that's something you probably shouldn't be messing with, I would prefer, if you claim to be a Christian, that you don't mess with it. And by the way, that probably applies to you if you're a Jew as well, right? Based on the fact that a large portion of the Bible was written at least with the aid of the Jews, if not, completely by them and for their purpose, for their sake. I know that there are those who would argue for the Pentateuch, right? The first 5 books, whatever you want to call them, however you want to, Torah, right? And some of the prophets and so forth as well, I suppose, are involved in that. But my point here is to say simply that I'm pretty sure from a Christian perspective, neither horoscope nor any other kind of things that could be invoked as magic are things that you ought to be involving yourself with. And that includes saying things like, I'm a Capricorn, right? That's not something you ought to be doing as a Christian as far as I can tell. And this is where I sort of stand on this. Do I believe that astrology may have some basis in fact and reality? Absolutely. That's absolutely possible. I'm not trying to argue. I'm not trying to disagree with that idea. I'm not telling you that I know that it does, but I'm certainly not telling you either that I believe that it doesn't. And I will just tell you, I see no reason to mess with it or play with it in any way at all. I don't understand why anybody would do that. I don't see the sense in it. I don't see any reason to make that something that you ought to spend your time or effort on. It's just that simple. Now, again, I want people to understand something. I've said before I don't agree with homosexuality. I've said before I don't agree with transgenderism. I don't agree with transvestitism. By the way, excuse my son if you happen to hear him in the background. He can be a little bit noisy, and he is home today. I don't agree with any of those things. Am I suggesting that people be attacked on the basis that they are those things? Not in the least. It is my belief, my way of looking at things, that those people are confused. They're confused, okay? If they're confused, why on earth would I make it my business to beat up on them for their confusion? I don't see the sense in that, and I can't imagine anybody coming to the conclusion that that's a reasonable thing. So when you hear me saying I don't believe in astrology, and please don't, puke that nonsense back at me or at me, I'm not saying to you, you can't hold it in yourself if you choose to do so. I'm saying just in the same way you have the right to do that, I have the right to say, I don't really want to hear about that, deal with it, or have anything to do with it. And to some degree, I'm not, okay, so people slip. People do things, oops, sorry, I did this and I didn't mean to. They curse or they do other things. Look, people are going to do that. And I'm not upset at that. I just don't want people steeping themselves in that sort of thing and expecting me to follow along or agree with it. I don't even necessarily care if they do it for themselves when they're out in public, I suppose. I just don't want them thinking that I need to be in any way involved with that idea, that process. That's all I'm trying to say to you. And I will tell you that I'm going to say again, for those of you who claim Christianity, that you really, 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 really need to consider distancing yourself from all of that sort of thing, right? It doesn't make any sense to do it or be involved in it in any way if you're a Christian, as far as I can tell. By the way, I want to tell you that my last video gave me the ability to sort of think about this a little bit more so that I could talk about it a little more cogently. So I'm actually kind of glad I'm doing the video again. Because one of the things that I want people to understand, I understand the perspective that says you do you. I do, I get it. But let me just tell you something. I said it when I did the video on you do you. If you're shooting yourself in the foot, I don't want to help you or tell you it's okay. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop you from shooting yourself in the foot. I'd like to, because I'd really rather you didn't damage your foot in the process, right? I'd like to tell you to stop shooting yourself in the foot. If you are into astrology, if you are into magic, and I'm not talking about David Blaine or David Copperfield or whoever the various people are who do street magic that's designed to make people ooh and ah because ooh, isn't it fancy? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about calling up spirits, using various tools of the magic trade, including spells and hexes and things of that sort. I don't know how much of that's real, and I don't know how much of it's not, and it doesn't really matter to me. I think it's a bad idea, and that's the simplest I'd put it. By the way, you'll excuse me if I look off now and then. I'm making sure sort of where I am time-wise on my video. I probably will have to find a better way to do that in the course of time, just because it's kind of annoying maybe for you to see me do that. Maybe not. Maybe you don't notice it that much, and I actually brought it to your attention. That having been said, though, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, look, you want to really be involved in magic or whatever, I guess that's your business and you're right. I want you to understand that I really don't want to be involved in that, and that includes astrology. Okay, this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I am Kurt. Today is Friday, the 2nd of July of 2021. Tomorrow will be Saturday, the 3rd of July. That means Sunday will be the 4th of July. Hope you're having a good day today and everything is going well for you. Thank you for joining me on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, or wherever you happen to have joined me from. Remember that you can give me a positive or a negative Rumble on Rumble. Remember that you can give me a like or a dislike. That's a thumbs up or a thumbs down on YouTube if you see me there. Also that you can comment on both platforms. That's totally up to you, but obviously you can do it. And today we've been talking about astrology and really sort of magic in general, but I'm kind of wanting to home in on astrology today. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about taking on responsibility. I hope you're having a good day today, and everything is going well for you. And hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Friday the 2nd of July of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, and maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that, and you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.